This is day 185 of the Arukh HaShulchan OC. If you would like to sponsor an upcoming shir or more of the Arukh HaShulchan OC, please contact me directly. It'd be very much appreciated. Today we are doing Siman Kuf Lamed Dalet Sif Gimel through Siman Kuf Lamed Hey Sif Hey. Sif Gimel says, Kasar Ben Beis Yosef Mara Pnei Ksibas Sefer Torah La'am Din Limino Smaller. When you take, according to the Meidot Mizrach, when you take the Sefer Torah out, you show the writing of Sefer Torah to the people saying to your right and to your left, Machzir L'fanav Achrav, and forwards and backwards as well. Shemitzvah Kol Noshim and Noshim, all the men and women. There's all shot in the halacha of women who are nidos are supposed to look at the Sefer Torah, but the Beis Yosef does not seem to make that distinction. I believe the Shiloh is brought down in Rav Ovadia Yosef. I believe he's Mako. The Shitza Noshim Noshim also Ksav Lichroa V'Lomar B'Zos HaTorah, and to bow, which I don't think we do in this say Zos HaTorah. The Shmuel says you're only supposed to say Zos HaTorah when you can opposite the writing in the Sefer Torah. I have not seen people been makbid on that, but evidently it makes sense to say that when you to see the writing inside. If you can see the writing inside, if you don't, I have not seen people refrain. It's interesting. I picked up many years ago from going to Simcha Zissel Broida Zatzal, the Rosh Yeshiva of Chevron Yeshiva, when I was close to him and when he was in Yisrael for an eye operation, to Zissel Bezos Torah Samoshev Nepinei Yisrael, and not Al Pi Hashem Biad Moshe, because that is called Pasuk Lo Paski Moshe Anolom Paskinole. There is no such pasuk like that. The pasuk, it begins and ends says Torah Samoshev Nepinei Yisrael. Al Pi Hashem Biad Moshe appears elsewhere in the Torah, and therefore it is not really part of that statement. It should not be included. But on the other hand, the Yekis and others, I guess also the Sfardim, have a longer statement to make at that point in time. And they go, it says here, you say Torah Hashem Mimos Shivas Nafesh, and other psukim, which I don't have my Redolheim Siddur handy, but must appear in the Redolheim Siddur. And I guess, and they go to Mizrach Siddur, which I do have handy. Let's see that they are exactly. They have a couple more, but not Torah Hashem. Did I read this wrong? No, I read it right. Let's see. What's in there before and after? No. Before they don't have anything. The Sefer Torah is raised. Shown the Congress would say, doesn't say Moshe. So that, like Simcha Zissel taught me, Torah Tzimon Moshe Yaakov Akel Tamim Darko Yimas Hashem Tzrufa Magen Hu L'Chol HaChosim Bo. That's what they say. Evidently, that's all before laning, as it says here in the Shulchan Aruch. I don't see anything else after laning, which would make sense since their Ag was before laning. Let us, I don't know, let me see if I can get my Redolheim Siddur and pause this. No, I am making a mistake. They do say that is part of the Sigolev Seroeh. Maybe also in the Edom Mizrach, it's part of Sigolev Seroeh. They don't seem to have here an equivalent to. They don't seem to have an equivalent to Sigolev Seroeh in the Idota Mizrach Siddur that I can find at least. But here in the Nisuch, in the Yekish Siddur, in the Redolheim Siddur, as part of Sigolev Seroeh, they say, and this makes sense, I guess, because it's even though we don't do Hagbah before Kriyas Torah, but the Torah Shem Tamima, which Beis Yosef puts before Kriyas Torah, would remain there. By the way, I see later in the Arukh HaShulchan he's going to speak about this, which this that I mentioned. Okay, so but we say they say after Bruchna Santa so they say a few other psukim. Torah Shem Tamima Shivas Navesh Eidus Hashem Namon Mekapesi because Hashem is showing B'Samchei Lev Mitzvah Shem Bormi Asinayim, Hashem was Zaytin Shem Berach Smo Shalom, Akel Tamid Darko, Yimras Shem Tzufa, Magin L'chol Chazibo, and then the Chaz and the Kal say Vaten Bekim B'Hashem Bechem Chaim Kuchem Hayom. What's happening in the standard Nusach Ashkenaz is that all those psukim do not appear. Cut them out in both places. We do say other psukim by Hagba afterwards. No, is that it? We say here it says appear Shem Yashem Tzayim Machzim Bas Chem Shad Echad Achinoch Osel Shalom Armin Yisrael Shabbat and Osh Yisrael Shabbat Hashem Chavetz Matzko Dil Torah Biadir. Okay, be that as it all may. V'chein Yisem Sechet Seifrim B'zeh Shanu Korim Hagba. That's where we Ashkenazim go Hagba. They do before laning. But saying Osim Hagba Achar Kriya. Sfarim Osim Oskodem Kriya. They do before, we do it after. V'chein Asher Sechet Sofrim Shom. And it seems Sechet Seifrim they do it before. Upela Shanurim, here it is, what I heard from Simcha Zitzel, and they're not here, no, it's in Arukh HaShulchan. Hey, Masher, Pele Shanurim is also Torah Begon Pi Hashem B'Yad Moshe. Cheni Pasuk Sidurim, B'Kosher Tuva. Chada Dain's a Pasuk B'Shum Makom. It's not a Pasuk anywhere. There was also Torah B'Ves Chanon, the Pi Hashem B'Yad Moshe, so Parashas Palo Eitzcha, two certain places in Torah. That is B'Masos, for the Sechet Seifrim, ain't okay. Kosh Gesavnim, Sechet Seifrim doesn't appear that way. No answer. You have to at least reveal 3 columns in Sefer Torah, Maralam, and show it to the people. The writing should be opposite the person who's doing the Agba numbers in front of him. Someone looks intently at the letters as is appropriate. Yagila or Gadol im royal lekach. He'll get a great light if he's worthy of the great light, which is a big caveat for most of us, unfortunately. Mishnah Berurah says, when it says 3 columns, it's possible that that's specific, but nearly totally koach ha-magbiya has to do with how much strength the magbiya has. The Mishnah Berurah says that for seeing the letters heitev, it means that you can actually read them. Of course, there is a minhag which I don't know where it comes from. To see him, maybe we'll get the Hilchos Sukkos. We'll see him, but at the end of the Chasam Torah, at the end of Chasam Breishis, to the Hagba with a flip. I think also Simchas Torah night people do it that way. In other words, the ksav towards the congregation. I don't know. I guess it's Mishum Simcha. In any event, here the standards due to the Magbiya. He does not say how many, whether you make turn from side to side by our Hagba, or you go in a full circle. From the Beis Yosef's hands, you go side to side and then back and forth. But I believe that the minhag among Ashkenazim is to make a full circle. I believe that's the way the Medakdikim do it in actual Nusach, in standard Nusach Ashkenaz. Dal Shmotima Sefer Torah mean by him Zoron Brich Shmei, which is Mizor Vayakel, and we Gadlu, of course. Well, actually, before we get that, of course, neither they do the Mizrach nor the Yekas say Brich Shmei. The Yekas because they're opposed to Kabbalah in general. They say because the line V'lo Ba'aloin Samichna, which seems to be repudiation of also Ish, and I'm not sure evidently there's censorship involved, and that's why they took it out because of the anti-Christian connotation. But in general, Yekas were opposed to Kabbalah, so that introducing Kabbalah into Tefillah, so perhaps there's something to do with that. I don't think Mizrach also. They just like they don't have Kigavna, they don't have the Brich Shmei. So just assume although they're of opposition to Kabbalah, that was not introduced into their davening for reasons which experts on Sidurim perhaps know a lot better than I do. Anyway, be that as may, Gadlu Omer Shliach Tzibur Keneged Neged Hechol, the Shliach Tzibur turns towards the Aron and says Gadlu. Magbiya Sefer Torah Ma'at V'Koren, he picks up while saying Gadlu, he picks up the Sefer Torah a little bit and bows a little bit. For a moment, people say Chashem Magdula of Arachim B'Chulei. Shabbos Yom Tov Shmaiso Echad Elokeinu K'neged Tzibor. He says those two psukim looking at the tzibor. Chos upon him Eichon. He turns around. Omer Gadlu Ala Kol Yiskadash V'Kulei. V'Yeshlach Zitor B'Tzad Yamin. Should always hold the Torah in one's right hand. V'Olech L'Tzad Tzofon in Torah. And you go towards the north with the Torah. Varish, that's the like Kopin Shatapone Lo Yu Elo Yamin, right? If you're east and facing, if you're facing west, so then north is to your right hand. V'Omer Varishon Oleh Torah, the first person gets Aliyah. Omer Brukshin Sam Torah. Sounds like the person who actually gets the Aliyah says this. I will discuss this later because it says, I am Simukuf Memav Sifyud Mashkosavnu Shom, where perhaps he says that we don't have the Ola say, but the person calling up the Ola. Well, Soli Kilchas Tfila. It's a shtickle asiyum. Mazel tov. We got the end of Hilchas Tfila in the Arukh HaShulchan. Hilchas Kriyas Torah. Simukuf Lamed Hey. Seder Kriyas Torah B'Sheni V'Chamishi. The way we read Torah on Monday and Thursday. So, of course, Rambam Bereish Perek Beyu Beis Mitfila. Moshe Bein Tikem L'Yisrael Shu Kohen B'Torah B'Rabim. Moshe Bein made that the Jews should read Torah in public b'Shabbos, Sheni v'Chamishi b'Shachris, and Shabbos, Monday and Thursday, all in Shachris. Mishabura says, even though with the Evid you could do it the entire day, its Iker Zman is in the morning. Not to spend 3 days without hearing Torah. That's what Tikkun Shu Kohen Bo B'Mincha B'Chol Shabbos, as it made that to read Torah Mincha every Shabbos. Shum Yoshvei Kronos, so people should not go and sit in corners and engage in idle or frivolous behavior. He also, Ezra instituted that there be 3 people called the Torah on Mondays and Thursdays. And not less than the Pesukim. Ad Kan Lashon. Klomar, meaning that Shabbos Shachris, that Shabbos morning, Tikkun Moshe Rabbeinu Mali Kos Moshe Rabbeinu made the Kohen what to read. Vaynu Kol Sidra b'Shabbato, or every parsha on its Shabbos, and V'Shiva Kruyim meant 7 people called to the Torah. Sheni Chamishi Lo Tikkun Kam Kruyim on Monday and Thursday. Moshe Rabbeinu institute how many people should be called up. Kam Sukkah now Pesukim Shred. Yadai B'Kori Echol Pasuk Ech would have been enough with one Aliyah and one pasuk. But Ezra B'Tikkun HaMizmor, Ezra came and fixed the number. Chozim Mevor Babakama. Uperusha Perush Yoshvei Kronos. What does Yoshvei Kronos mean? Perush Rashi Yoshvei HaChanrios. People who are going to sit in Chanrios, when was then for wine shops. Shlokoro B'Sheni Chamishi Ayin Sham. So they wouldn't read on Monday and Thursday. So, according to this Pshat Rashi, Yoshei Chanrios probably does not mean wine shops, because that's going to say in the second Pshat, it means people who are storekeepers and can't make it to laning on Monday and Thursday, so at least they should hear the second laning in Mincha by Shabbos. But they can leave them Kriya Seir after Shabbos, so they made them an additional Kriya, even though they already read in the morning. B'yesh Mefarshim, and the others say, that they shouldn't go Friday or Shabbos afternoon and get drunk in the corners. Those is man shichos, that's the time of drunkenness. They made this kriya, they should come to the shuls. Why do we say that pasuk by Shabbos mincha? It says before that, in the pasuk before that, Yosichu bi yoshvei shar v'nikinos shosei shosei shechar. They will speak. I'm not sure. The people. I think that's what it means. They will talk about me. Those people who are sitting in the gates and those who sing their drunken songs. The Melch says they are going and they are getting drunk in the corners. And I'm coming to the shul that I should daven in front of you because it's a time of the tefillah being especially acceptable. Shaf Elio lo nenel b'tfilas mincha, as we know, even Elio Navi was only answered in mincha and Har Carmel. Beis Chetiki Moshe Ben Kriyas HaTorah L'Moadim. Moshe Rabbeinu made what the kind of what's going to be read on Moadim, Rosh Chodesh, V'chol HaMoed. All those times. Ketam Perek Dam Gila, Pesach Goyim Chulei. Shem Avayda Ben Moshe Smodei Shem Bnei Yisrael. He spoke the holidays of God to the Jewish people. The mitzvah to read each and every one its proper time. And so to be learned in Yerushalmi. Moshe made that according for the Jews to read on Torah, reading Torah Shabbos and Yom Tov Rosh Chodesh, B'chol Shemoed Shem V'Daber Moshe B'chulei. By Yerushalmi Yosif Shabbosos Sheidim HaMishnah. Shama eat at Shabbosos even though it's not in the Mishnah. Kriyas the Tisha B'Av the Tanya Sibra Nitnu L'Charkach Mimela. The Tisha B'Av and the Tanya Sibra were obviously made later at the appropriate times. Kanshi says Moshe Rabbeinu came what you think in the code took this is also part and parcel. It's Mela, part and parcel of the Gzeir Moshe in the sense that it was part of the Takana to read what is appropriate to each and every time. Haftaras these kuba Mishnah Megillah Sham. Haftaras I mentioned in the Mishnah Megillah. And the Yerushan Chiknes L'Gula Tikuzeh. HaShulchan says that the Anshikazah made the Takana to read Haftaras. Made it simply cross a Psukim Gam B'Torah. And that is he's mentioning going specifically on the Haftaras of Tainis Sibor and the like. So he's saying those Haftaras are mentioned in the Mishnah. It says you might think it's enough just to say the Haftarah, but he says no, that can't be. It has to be because the male circle cross says something on the Torah. You have to be something else in Torah. They should on the Vim below Torah because it's not appropriate to be in the Vim below Torah. Because the Torah, the Maftir Bergolim Rosh Hashanah Kippurim Lonitz Karabagmara, the concept of Maftir which we have today to read the psukim of the appropriate today in Rosh Hashanah Kippur and Regalim, and as I mentioned in the Gemara, the Hagoyim Tiknua, the Krosim Fosim Musafi Mipinchos. This is the Takonas HaGoinim from Maftir. I've created some Maftir Shal Chodesh Chab Shabbos Shal Arpo Shios. Who's Kurma Mishnah Sham? I've created some Maftir of Rosh Chodesh, which is, of course, the beginning of the parasha of Musafin in Pinchas, and the four parashas, which come between Parasha Shkolim and Parashas and Shkolim, Zohar, Par, and Achodesh. Who's Kurma Mishnah Sham? They mentioned the Mishnah there. Surmise it's also in the Konas Achikas the Parsha Zohar the Raisa. Parsha Zohar is of course the Raisa, even though it's one of the four Parshas. Yesham Rim Gam the Gam Parshas Parabi the Raisa. So one or two of the four are the Raisa. They will be explained in the appropriate places much later in Arukh HaShulchan. It says here in the brackets Habach. Same Reish Pedakos and Shaftori Saidesh Gezerah Shagozu Sholi Cross Matorah Ayin Sham. So this is an alternative opinion that the Haftarahs were instituted when there was Gezerah said you shouldn't can't read the Torah. At least they read from Navi, and once the Sakana passed, the minhag was kept in place. Gimel v'kama kurim alim b'v'shein v'chamishi Shabbos mincha. Monday, Thursday, Shabbos mincha we take shlosha 3 aliyos. Ein pochsim and ein mosim alim. Don't detract and don't add. Why don't you add Mishum B'Tum Malacha? Because you take people later. People get even later to work. Shabbos Mincha Avagav Leika B'Tum Malacha. Shabbos Mincha, even though there's no delay to one's job. They want to lay on too thickly. So you begin with Josh Kolei because they had a drush on the entire day. So to add a mincha, more psukim, wow, that would have been really over the top. Besides, they already read 7 aliyos in the morning. There's no maftir by Sheni Chamishi and Shabbos by mincha. They had time for the same reasons. Mispar Shlosha, the by 3, Kneg Torah being Ksubim, Kneg Kohanim being Israelim, corresponds to those 2 counts. Mispar Psukim Melchum Pachas Me'asora, not less than 10 Psukim Kneg Raseres Adibros, corresponding to 10 commandments, Kneg and Asora Ma'amoras, Shani Vrolam, and 10 statements to the truth the world was created. V'od Yesh Talmim B'Gemara, Sham, other reasons given the Gemara. Shnai Kurin Kol Echad Shlosh Psukim, 3 Psukim, Chokore Arba, and one reads 4 psukim. Umiyu akore arba, and who reads the 4 psukim? Is Bar B'Simon Kuf Lam Zayin, will be discussed later on. Tav Kosav Rabbeinu Ramah B'Sif Aleph. V'Imayu Shnei Chasani Beis HaKnesset. V'Im Yisraelim. What happens, however, if there are two chasanim in shul on a given morning, and then with the Israelim, mutal see if it grows arba, you can actually add an aliyah. So you do have a kiyontif, because for them it's like kiyontif, shemutar, see if you can add on. Near the wadin lan inyan shtei bali bris, where there are two people who are going to make a bris that day. The yontif shalom hu, it's a yontif for them, makan l'shono. Dovez that kasava Mordechai b'shem riva. This brought down Mordechai named Riva, and Hogos Maimonius b'shem ritzba. Second, we never heard of anybody who does such a thing. Can't go to Achroinim. The bush, the women have run the Taz. Voting for the Moshe Gam Yontif, American Losif. Interesting. On Yontif, also, we don't add to the number of aliyos, which is 5. We don't add additional aliyos. Yes, only on Shabbos we add. I never thought of the distinction, but I indeed don't remember ever seeing any Yosefos on Yom Tovim. Says Arukh HaShulchan, obviously sensitive as a Rav, in a place we can come to a fight. We can rely on these great authorities, and to read both of that, both people's aliyahs. And the Revi repeats what the Shlishi read. However, generally speaking, the meaning is Echad Olaf Torah, Echad Lagba. One take that's Aliyah, one gets Hagba, and so too goes with other Chiyuvim, if there clashes. In bracket says, Atavsky by Sarich Lag Shosa Ritzba Varamai, Esidim Yesh Regel Diachil, Regel Yah Rabim. He asks, how can you compare Yontif of an individual to Yontif of the Tzibor? What about the people being late to work? With me, I understand this. The Hachi Kamar. What Rama is saying is pragmatic. When Malcolm Sheyesh Achreach, V'davar, where there's a compelling reason and an issue which is arisen, should be krev at tzibur mochim. If the tzibur is moichel, yesh l'makom lamar the ein tzikor b'altikun chachomim. Because we can say this is not a violation of the Takura Chachamim. They allowed us to add in such circumstances. Hey, Malkum Shasikim Sham Shabbos Shachris, behind the Gemara, etc. Place where you finish the Shabbos Shachris is in the Parsha Shom Eslim Mincha. Then we begin at Mincha, behind the Maseder Shabbos Abba, from next week's Parsha. B'shonim Asab B'shenim B'shach Shosor B'chamishi. Read it again on Monday and again on Thursday. Why did they do till Frishon till Sheni on Shabbos Mincha? Sheni till Shlishi on Shabbos on Monday and Shlishi to Revi on Thursday. Mishum Shtakim Pashazu ain't a little b'cheshbon klaus. This doesn't count. Shabbos Abayis Chim Rosh Hashanah because ain't going to be the beginning of the parsha next week. Why do we have to teach them, make them read new stuff? The Baal Torah is going to be even more prepared, right? He doesn't say that, but that's as somebody who's had to lane on Mondays and Thursdays many times, just running through my mind. It's not the same parsha over again. It's machlekes, and that's the halacha. But time and the reason seems like we have written. Fizeh, the only is like the avocat the b'Shabbos you talk about in Jacheres. According to it seems to me that in Shabbos, although on Shabbos, maybe mistake wrongly read the wrong parsha. But I was doing couldn't say just money. So to go back and read the right parsha, become nevertheless mincha sheni chamishi shetov v'kol parsha ches d'shazu or me'acheres in the unlikely event that they read from a different parsha in a different aliyah in that parsha, or from a different parsha altogether, and so because they don't have to go back and read it over again. Mishmur says that the Pesach brings different opinions about this. But the Kamen Ein Ola the Kriya Satzibor, since it doesn't count for the Kriya, because next week they're going to read anyway, afresh. It was only fixed for, there shouldn't be 3 days without Torah on account of the Oshri Kronos. Whatever they read, that suffices. If they only remember in the middle of the Kriya. It seems to me that whatever they read, they read. And the rest, what they have left, because they should go back to the actual Seder of the day. What happens if you skip the pasuk? He's bar, but that will be explained later on.